Okay, hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I know we have peers and colleagues joining us from all over the world for this Trinity College London Transformative Teachers webinar, the last one before our summer break. So just a quick reminder that there isn't a Transformative Teachers webinar next month in August, but we will be back in September. If you could hear me, if you could just write in the chat box very quickly to make sure everyone can hear. We're just making sure that the text is working. Excellent, people can hear us, they can write in the chat box, that's fantastic. Okay, for those of you that are new to these Transformative Teachers series webinars, and for those that are not, a little reminder of just a few of the ground rules here. So we're going to be here today for about 1 hour. Our speaker today will also be speaking for about 50 minutes, and there'll be time at the end for lots of questions. As you know, this is being recorded, so if you have to drop out for any reason, maybe you've got marking to do, you've got to rush off to a lesson, the internet drops out and you can't reconnect, don't panic, everything is recorded and it goes up on the Trinity College London Transformative Teachers website, and we'll be sharing the link to that. You'll also get the link automatically in the email that we send you after this, that's proof of your attendance. Hopefully you can see and hear us both very well, but remember to play around with all the settings to make sure you've got the best view for you. And we do want to hear and see your reactions as well. So please do keep using the chat box. I can see you're doing that already. Lots of people telling us where you're from, which is nice to see. You'll see that it moves quite quickly. So if you have a question that you'd like us to pass on to our speaker today, it might be better to use the Q&A or the question box, which might be at the bottom or the top of your screen. And if you type it in there, we will answer either live or towards the end. I'm going to stop sharing in a second here as I introduce our speaker of today. So for those of you that don't know, how do you not know? He's all over social media and other places as well. Ross Thorburn is a teacher trainer and materials writer who is based in Shanghai. He has a Trinity Dip TESOL and a Master's in Language Education. He also hosts the excellent TEFL Training Institute podcast, which I highly recommend. And today he's going to be talking to us about using photos to get students of all ages talking. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to you, Ross.
Thanks a lot, Simon. In case any of you are wondering how I'm in Shanghai and it's still light, although I'm based there, I am now in Scotland for the next couple of weeks. So if I fall asleep during this, you'll know it's just because of jet lag. All right. Thanks very much for coming. Lovely to meet you all. Let's get started. So here's a outline of what we're going to talk about over the next 50 minutes. We'll do a little getting to know each other activity. And then I'll talk for hopefully less than 5 minutes about why I think it's a good idea to use photos in class with students of just about any age and level. And then the majority of the time today, we'll do activities using photos. So I've got 5 activities. I won't tell you about them. We'll just do them. And then afterwards, we'll have a little discussion about how you could change those to make them more relevant for your classes and your students. And then we'll do a little wrap up. And of course, we'll leave around 10 minutes for questions at the end. Okay, so let's get to know each other. So this is going to be more you getting to know me, but afterwards I will do something hopefully to get to know you. So we're doing this with a little game called 3 Truths and a Lie. I don't know if you've done this before, but I'm going to tell you 4 things about me. I want you to guess which is not true. So here we go. All you need to do is type the number of the fact which is not true. So here we go. Number 1 is I love baking. If you think that's not true, type 1. Number 2, I am around 190 centimeters tall. So that's about, if you're in the UK, as I am at the moment, I guess it's about 6'1", 6'2", something like that. Number 3 is I ran a marathon last year. And number 4 is I play the guitar. So type a number in the chat. Which of these do you think is not true? Oh, Morag's there. Hello, Morag. Lovely to see you. Stacy says number 2. Got a few votes for, seems like 2 is the most common one. A few votes for number 3. A few votes for number 1. Well, in fact, the lie is number 3. I have run a marathon before, but not last year. I did run a half marathon in the last 6 months, but not an official one. Anyway, very quickly, here's some photos to prove to you. I like baking. There's a very unhealthy cake that I baked for a friend's birthday a while ago. I am roughly 190 centimeters tall. That's me looking over the heads of lots of people in northwest India. And I do play the guitar. So that's me playing the guitar at my wedding a couple of years ago. So there you go. Anyway, that's me. What I want to do now is find out a little bit about you. So I've got 3 questions. I would love it if you could type the letter of the question you're answering and answer the question. I think all of these can be answered with a number. So the first one, A, how old are your students? So maybe you can type A and tell me. Or B, you could tell me what level are your students? Again, you could use a CEFR level, or you could describe them however you want. Or you can tell me how many years have you been teaching? Well, Stacey there has answered all 3 questions. All right, so we've got some secondary school. Okay, some older. Okay, quite a few people. Someone says 80. I presume that's not the number of years you've been teaching. Okay, quite a lot of people teaching adults here. A few maybe older young learners. Great. All right, that's really great to see. I'm glad you can all see what everyone else is doing. All right, thank you very much for replying to that. Let's get on to talking about photos then. So here we go. Why use photos? So I've got 5 reasons why I think it's a good idea to use photos. First thing is I think photos are engaging. I don't know about you, but my memory of learning languages from school was lots of reading, lots of listening to things that I couldn't understand. A lot of the time I found that quite boring, but I think photos are the opposite. You can look at a photo and instantly be engaged or interested. Second reason I like using photos is, it's easy to take photos. I'm going to reveal how old I am here, but when I first started teaching, it was a little bit difficult to take photos. Certainly when I was a student in high school, you would have to take a photo on a camera and get it developed, but that's not true anymore. Now it's super easy to take photos and also super convenient to display photos. Again, when I was a new teacher, there were no computers in the classrooms in the school that I taught, so you'd have to print things out, quite difficult, but now very easy to just show photos on the screen. And obviously that's what we'll be doing today. Personally, when I do activities with photos, I almost never actually give photos out to students. I almost always get people to take a photo of something take a photo of a photo on the screen. So that's a way of saving paper and also saving time. Another reason is that course books often have interesting images and often not very much gets done with those. But I think that's that's the most important reason I love using photos is I've got a little quote from Mark Hancock here, is that photos differentiate themselves to the level of the students. So if you've, and I'm sure all of you have used reading activities in class, if you have a text, you can check the level of the text online. Is this a B1 level text? Is it a grade 4 level text? Whatever. But that's not true for photos, right? You can take a picture and show it to a group of students, and students don't need any language to understand that. right? But you do need language to be able to listen to an audio and understand it before you talk, or to read something and understand it before you talk. But photos, I think, are a great way of giving information without needing any language at all. And that means everyone in your class can understand something immediately and start talking about it using language, right? But they don't need any language to actually understand the thing itself. So I think they're a great way to, or great material to use in mixed ability classes. And I know, I'm sure this is true for a lot of you, a lot of the teachers I work with, including myself. I think teaching mixed abilities is one of the biggest challenges that we have. All right, so that's enough of me giving my opinions. Next, we are going to look at some activities using photos. So we've got 5 activities that we're going to look at over the next 40 minutes or so. Range, deceptive description, word whiz, and finally odd photo out. So for each of these, we are going to do these. Now I can see someone's got their hand up. I don't think we'll be getting anyone else to speak today, but if you've got a question you want to ask, type it in the Q&A, and I promise we will get to at least some of those, hopefully all of those in the final 10 minutes. Or if it's just a comment, then please type it in the chat. All right, so let's get started and look at the first of these activities. This one is called Spot the Difference. So this is what this activity looks like, or a quick description of it. To get ready to do this activity, all you need is 2 photos that are similar, and they maybe have about 5 or 10 differences between them. Now, that might sound quite difficult. I will show you later some ways to make these yourself. And in class, all you do is put students in pairs. So one student has got one photo and another student has got the other photo. And they don't show their photos to each other, but they describe their photos and try to find as many differences as possible. All right, so that gets students to talk and listen in detail. So here's a little example one that I did a while ago. This was for a kids class. I did this at my mother-in-law's kitchen. So I just took some food, right? And there you can see we've got like some bread, cheese, a couple of bananas, a peach. So that was for student A. And on the one on the right is for student B. So in class, you get students to describe these and find as many differences as possible. So we are now going to do this together. So in a second, I am going to show you a picture. So you're all going to be student, I think student A. I can't remember if you're A and I'm B. Anyway, you're going to be one student. I'm going to be the other student. On my phone here, I have got a different picture from you. So let's see. This is your picture. All right, hopefully you can see that. I've got a picture here. I'm going to describe my picture. You need to listen to my description and tell me what are the differences. Okay. So I can see a lady, a young woman, sitting on a train, I think. She's wearing a blue sweater. She's reading a red book. She's got a pink mobile phone on her lap. She's wearing a mask. I think behind her, sort of above her head, is a jacket, sort of black and white colored jacket. That's on the chair. And I guess to the left, on the left side of the photo, there's a window. And on the window, there is an empty water bottle. And even further to the left, there is a chair. I guess the chair in front of her, and hanging up on the chair is a scarf, mostly white scarf with some black stripes. Okay, so again, a girl wearing black jeans. There's a pink phone on her lap. She's wearing a blue sweater, reading a red book. She's got a mask on. There's a jacket hanging up behind her. There's a window in front of her and behind her, and on the windowsill, there's an empty bottle. There's a chair in front of her, and hanging up on the chair is a scarf. All right, so let's see what differences did you find? A few of you said here that there's a blue book in yours. Some of you, sorry, many Stacey's said she's not got a mobile phone. Morag said that you've got a blue book instead of a pink one. No phone. Great. So another Stacey said the jacket is black, not white. No electronic devices. You don't have a bottle in your one or a jacket. Let's see. And instead of a scarf, one of the Stacey says that there's a brown bag. Morag also mentioned the scarf. Coel, I think, said that the scarf is on her neck. Great point. Yeah, so that's quite a few. Any other differences here? I think that's most of them. All right, so let's take a look and compare. So there we go. Those are the two photos there. So you can see I had this one on the left. I think you got just about everything there. The scarf in a different place, no phone, no bottle. Well done. All right, let's talk a little debrief about this activity. Adaptions for different levels. So obviously I would use simpler pictures for lower levels. Something I've done recently actually is take a photo from a course book, and using my phone, I was able just to delete, using the AI on my phone, delete parts of a photo or a cartoon, I suppose, and give that to kids. And that actually worked quite well. I think this is a great activity for mixed ability students. So obviously, if we were doing this in class, both students would talk, right? Because we're doing this online as a webinar. It was only me talking. But you can see that actually this activity works very well as a mixed activity, because me, as the stronger student here, I can do all the talking, right? And you guys, as pretending to be the weaker students almost, you can just listen. And you maybe only have to say one or two words at a time, right? So you can see a nice activity to get stronger and weaker students to work together. Now, Helen, who's not called Stacey, asked about doing this as a writing exercise, I guess. Or Helen said, would you do this as a speaking only exercise? Well, a nice extension to this is to say to students, after you've found all of the differences you can, write them down. Okay, so for low-level students, it could just be no scarf, book color. But for higher level students, you could actually get them to write, Ross's, or the book in Ross's photo was red, the book in my photo was blue, something like that. Okay, so next I am going to show you 3 ways that I create my own for this. So the first one is what I did in that previous one, which is just to say, go somewhere, a table or something. This is from a restaurant. You take a photo and then you move some things around. All right, so this is one where you can see on the left, that was before. And then on the right, after I ate half a sandwich, I took the photo again. So really simple. That is a very quick way of getting a spot the difference pair of photos. But of course, that's quite limited, right? There's only so many things that you can do with that, right? Well, photos of inside things, people, of course, as well, like the one earlier. So another option that I sometimes do is I will take a photo in a place and I will come back after a few months. So this is a place near where I used to live in Shanghai. And you can see that this must be, I guess, quite late in the year, maybe October, November. And I took a photo. You can see that some building is going on. And then I came back. I'm not sure how much later this was. It looks like a long time later, doesn't it? And you can see there that we've got quite a few natural differences. There's different cars on the street. The weather's different. There's no leaves on the tree. And of course, those buildings are now half built. So that's another option, but of course that can take quite a lot of time to do. Not everyone can wait 6 months to make materials for a class. So another option is to use AI. So here's an image I took a couple of years ago in Shenzhen, just across the border from Hong Kong, and I used yes, DALL-E 2, it's called, which at that time was free, to delete some of the buildings in that photo. And you can see there that, yeah, quite a few things have been deleted, some things have been added, and there we go. That's another kind of spot the difference. I believe that Adobe Firefly, another AI, can also do this. And I think with Adobe Firefly, there's some free things that you can do with it. Okay, so there we go. And yes, Stacey says that is indeed D Wong. Yes, from EF. Are you also a former EF teacher, Stacey? Let's move on and talk about this next one. This is called Picture Puzzle Exchange. I really enjoy doing this activity. So in this one, you need a set of photos. Set of photos potentially on a similar subject. And basically all we have here is we have the photos in one order for one student, and then we mix them around and have them in a different order from another student. And all the students need to do is match, right? So maybe one student has got photos from 1 to 6, and the other student has got from A to E or A to F, right? And all they do is describe their photos and then say whatever. Number 1 is C, something like that. So a great way to get students to do lots of describing, speaking, and listening. Okay, so here's a quick example. So here are 4 photos. So this might be what student A has. This is an easy one, obviously. And here is what student B would have. All right. So the same photos, but just arranged differently. And maybe student A starts off with number 4 and says, number 4 is 2 ladies holding hands. And student B might say, that is B. So 4 is B. All right, pretty simple. So we are now going to do this together. All right, so I am going to be one student and you are going to be another student. So I've got 6 pictures here from A to F. So I'm going to describe my pictures. What I want you to do is type in the chat, right? A equals, what does A equal 1 or A equals 2 or A is 3, etc. Right? So I'll describe all 6 of these. Don't worry, I will do it quite quickly. And then you can type those in the chat and we'll see if you are correct or not. Okay, so you can now see some hotel rooms. So I'll start with A. A is a hotel room. There's a bed on the right. Looks like maybe a sofa or something on the left. In the background, there are 2 chairs and there's a blue curtain that's closed. All right, so that's A. B, looks like it's daytime in this photo. There's a bed and it looks like almost that this bed's on a mezzanine. Maybe it's up higher than the rest of the room. Window in the background and I think a TV on the left. C is a bed, almost like a 4-poster bed. So it's a bed, but it's got curtains kind of round the bed, white curtains, white sheets on the bed, a blue wall on the right with a little wooden panel sticking out of the door and or out of the wall, sorry, and it looks like a very, very small TV on the wall. That's C. D is a room at night, got lots of sort of yellowy lights on. There's a double bed in the middle. There's a table, a round table at the front left. And at the front right, looks like maybe a cupboard or something for storing shoes. E is during the day. We've got another white bed. And in the background, we've got a blue sofa, a round table next to the blue sofa, and a window with not curtains drawn, but I've forgotten how to say that, but something over the curtains, so we can't really see outside. Okay, and F. looks like a bed in a very small room. This bed has got two different colored pillows on it. There's two lamps, one on either side of the bed. And at the front, there's two round, looks like little chairs or cushions with a pattern on them. And in the middle, there's a tiny table with water on it. Okay, my goodness, I can see 89 new messages. That is a lot. All right, we've got lots of answers here. So let's see at the bottom, we've got some complete ones. All right, so we've got A is 5, B is 1, C is 4, D is 6, E is 2, and F is 3. So it looks like most of you have got that in the same order. Fantastic. So let's look at these together. Yes, so interesting. Looks like you did not get this correct. So here they are together, or maybe my answers are wrong. So I have got here A is 5. Yes, all right. So it looks like, oh yes, you did this. You got it. You wrote these in a different order for me. So we've got A is 5. B is number 1. Yes, all right, you got that. Well done. That was just me looking at that in the wrong way. So this activity, a really nice one, I think, for getting students to find little differences and talk about maybe a bit more in one go. Now, obviously, if you want to make this easy, you can have photos that are very different to each other. Our example there, that was a little bit harder, right? Because we had all these photos of hotel rooms. Again, another good one for mixed ability groups. A nice alternative for this that I like to use. I'll often have students doing this standing up, so facing each other in sort of 2 rows in my classroom. And say after 2 or 3 minutes, I'll say change partners, right? So students will move down one person, and then you can keep describing these to a different person. Now, how to make these? Obviously, this is a little bit of work to make these, but what I do every time I stay in a hotel, I'll take a photo of the hotel room, right? Or sometimes going up a flight of stairs, I'll take a photo of my flight of stairs. I think I've got another one over here, which is some different churches that I have been past in different places over the last few years. So I just like to almost have a collection of similar photos, and that's what I use for this in class. All right, so that was picture puzzle exchange. Next one we're going to do here is called deceptive description. All right, so let's get into this one. So for this, actually, maybe a little bit easier to prepare for. All you really need to do is find a photo with quite a lot of detail and prepare. So you've got your photo and prepare to cover up part of the image. All right, and then in class, all you need to do is get one student, say in a group, they can see the hidden part, and they need to describe what's in the hidden part of the photo. But the twist is they can include some lies in their description. All right. And then the other students in their group or in the class have to guess what is true and what is not. So I like doing this one because it's a little bit slower than the other ones. Usually you need a bit of time to think about what you're going to say. But as with any good lie, it takes a little bit of thinking to be able to say something that is believable. So I like this one because it's quite, again, lying is obviously quite creative if you want to tell a lie that people will believe. All right, so we're going to do this one together firstly. So here is an example. Hopefully you can see this. So this is a photo I took, when was this? This was, I guess, around Christmas time, a couple, 2.5 years ago. And here are 4 sentences about this. So here's the first one. All you have to do is tell me which of these do you think is the lie. So number 1, there is a door in the wall. That's number 1. Number 2, there's a couple wearing wedding outfits. Number 3, a news reporter is speaking into a microphone. And number 4, a carpet is hanging on the wall. All right, so there are 4. Which of these do you think is the lie? All right, we've got We've got number 1, number 4. Someone thinks they're all lies, I think. Morag thinks there's no carpet on the wall. Let's see. Lots of Stacey's. Looks like quite a few of you think 3 as a popular one for not be okay. Well, I am going to reveal the truth to you. So well done if you guessed 3. Number 3 is indeed the lie. So you can see here that we have got the couple. All right, that's them there. We've got the door. That's the door there. There's this little carpet. Or maybe it's not a carpet, but there's a bit of fabric here. But there is no news reporter. So well done if you guessed number 3. All right, so now we're going to do something a little bit more dangerous. We are going to try and do this together. So first step, all I want you to do is type a number in the chat. Any number from 1 to 10. You choose. Any number is fine. Great. Thank you for doing that for me. I'm just going to fill up on water here. All right, great. So you've got a number. So I should say, remember your number. So if you chose an odd number, so that's 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, I'm going to get you, or what you need to do is you need to take a screenshot of the photo I show you on the next slide. All right, so I'll show you a photo for maybe about 5 seconds. You need to be ready to take a screenshot, or you could take your phone if you're looking at a computer like me, take your phone and take a photo of the photo on the screen. And then you need to write just one sentence to describe the bottom part of the photo. Okay, now you can tell the truth about what's there, or you can make up a lie about what's there. Totally up to you. All right, that's all you guys have to do. So that's if you're an odd number. If you are an even number, so that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, you are going to close your eyes when I show the photo. All right, that's all you need to do. And afterwards, you need to read the descriptions from the odd numbers and reply to these in the chat. So, oh, can you do that? I'm not sure if you can reply to these or not. Well, maybe you can certainly try to reply to them in the chat, or tell us maybe which ones you think are true and which ones you think are false. Okay. Sorry about that. That was too exciting for my computer. Anyway, hopefully you can still see me, and hopefully now you can still see what we've got on screen. Great. Someone says yes. So if you are an even number, please now close your eyes. Okay? Even numbers, close your eyes now or look away from the screen. If you're an odd number, take a screenshot of this. So odd numbers, you have 5 seconds. Take a screenshot of this photo. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, so even numbers, you can open your eyes, and odd numbers, type your description of the bottom part of the photo into the chat. All right, so I'll type 1. There is a cat. There we go. That's 1 for me. Now, even numbers, all you need to do is reply to these and tell us if you think they are true or false. All right. A man is painting a picture of Princess Diana. We've got a duck walking on the ground, a man drawing on the sidewalk. Huran says there's a stray dog. So how about this? Maybe you can copy what someone else has written somewhere on the screen and then just write T or F next to it. All right, how about you do that? We got drunk homeless man leaning against the tree. That's quite dark there from one of the Stacys. All right, so one of the Stacy says a man drawing on the sidewalk is false. Anyone else want to uh, copy and paste one of those comments? My goodness, my computer is not doing very well today. I am very sorry. I keep dropping out here, not sure why. Okay, annoyingly, I now can't see anything that you that you typed, but but let's assume that we got some answers. Anyway, let's take a look at the original. There we go. So if you there was a man and he was painting the Mona Lisa, and there's a couple of bags on the ground there. So there we go. That's what we had. Thank you very much for your creative answers and for those of you who guessed if some of those were real or fake or true or false. So again, if you do this in class, obviously the simpler the picture, the easier it is, right? It could just be a picture of a farm and you could say, I don't know, there are 2 dogs, but maybe there's 3 dogs. Again, for mixed ability groups, I would get the stronger students to do more of the describing, maybe the weaker students to do some of the listening. And in terms of alternatives, right, this can also be done as a writing exercise. You could give different students in the class different pictures, give them some time to write some sentences about those before actually getting students to show them to each other and guess what's true or false. Okay, so we've got about 15 minutes left to do another couple of activities. So let's move on. Hopefully my computer won't crash again, but this one is called Word Whiz. Okay, so in class, you need to find a photo to show to the students. So very, very easy to prepare for, and you need a timer as well. So in class, you show students a photo and you give them 30 seconds to write 5 words, but they can only choose 5 words to write about the photo. But at the end of the 30 seconds, students count and find how many people wrote the same words or one of the same words as they did. All right, so students get 1 point every time someone else in the class or in their group wrote the same word as them. Okay, so this is a good way of getting students to think of some key vocabulary to describe something. And I also think it's great after the activity to find out what students were not able to describe. So you'll often find, right, a great way of finding common errors or common misunderstandings in your class, because lots of people might, I don't know, call, I don't know what, something is something, right? But maybe they don't actually know the right word for it. So a great way to do that. And also you might find some students will come up with some unusual low frequency, very useful vocabulary, and you can teach that to the rest of the class. Okay, so let's do this together. So quick instructions here. What are we going to do next? So all you need to do in a second is look at the photo, type up to 5 words, no more than 5 words. You can't do 6, you can't do 7. You can do less than 5, but a maximum of 5 words about the photo. All right, but choose 5 words that you think other people will write also. Share by hitting enter. Share your 5 words, but only share the 5 words when the timer stops. So you'll have 30 seconds for this. So take the whole time, right? Don't show them beforehand. And then afterwards, read what everyone else wrote and count how many points did you get. So remember, every time you see a word that you wrote, every time you see someone else wrote the same word, you get 1 point. Okay, so type 5 words, hit enter at the end of the 30 seconds, and then count how many people got the same words as you. All right, so let's get started. This is your photo. Here we go. Oh yes, tell us how many points you scored. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, write 5 words to describe this photo. Here we go. You have about 25 seconds left. Remember, don't hit enter yet. Type the 5 words, but wait until we get to the very end before sending them. Okay, we've got about 5 seconds left. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, hit enter. Ah, fantastic. So many answers. Well done. And count how many people got the same words as you. All you need to do is type a number now into the chat. So if someone else wrote, every time you see the word man, you get 1 point, right? Every time you see the word orange, if you wrote orange, type a, you get a 1 point. So tell us, how many points did you get for this? Too many to count. Yes, maybe there are too many. So that's a very good point. So obviously we're doing this with writing. If I was doing this in class, I would get students to maybe read out the words, but I would probably do this in a group. And I've done this before of maybe about 5 students per group. Everyone reads their words in the group. And then, you know, it's also a great way for people to go, oh, what does that mean? Oh, I never heard that before. What does that mean? Okay, one of the Stacey's got 100 points. Congratulations. Yes. All right. Like you say, too many to get an accurate score from. Some of you got 5, some of you got 2. All right. Anyway, we won't do another one of those, but let's talk about this activity just for a minute. So for different levels, obviously you can use simpler photos, but I think it's nice to choose some real pictures, you know, rather than cartoons for this. Also, it's a good one, I think, for paraphrasing, right? Or getting assumptions out from students. Again, mixed ability groups. I think this is great because if I'm the highest level student in the class, I still need to think about what are my classmates going to write. Okay, so I need to almost predict what other people are going to say, what other people will be able to understand. And obviously that's a little bit like a skill of mediating, understanding other people's language level, right? And oh yes, someone just said that, a bit like mediation, indeed. And as I said, after this, what I like to do is get some words from each group that everyone wrote, or the most popular word, and then also get some words that only one person wrote. Maybe get some of those on the board, talk about what they mean. Right, so that is word whiz. Okay, so we have just got one activity left. The most complicated activity. We'll see how this one goes. This one is called odd photo out. All right, so this one, quite complicated, but we're going to do this together in just a second. So the preparation for this, you need a photo with hopefully different things going on in the photo. And then you need to cut the photo into 2 or 3 pieces. And then, so we've now got 3 bits of one photo. And then we get another photo and take a bit of that. So now we've got 4 bits, right? 4 photo pieces, right? Now, we can see, of course, for this one, this would be the odd one out, right? The one that's from a different photo. Now, in class, put students in a group of 4, and you give every student 1 photo piece, and you get them to describe their photo, talk to each other about their photo, and then the students need to guess who has the odd photo out, whose image is from a different photo from the others. So it's a nice way to, again, to get students to describe, to listen, but also to ask questions and to speculate, right? To guess what's going on beyond the frame of the photo, right? So I think that's a nice way to figure that out. All right, so I will show you a little example here. So this is a photo I took. I think this is in an airport in Shanghai, I think. And here's another photo. This was from a train station in Vietnam. So imagine that I took the photo on the left and I cut it in half, and then I moved these around. There we go. And I gave these to different students. So student A on the left, they might say, oh, it's there's lots of yellow. I'm not really sure. There's like a bridge at the top, maybe a white pillar, right? Student B might say, can see a white floor, staircase, a couple of escalators, some people there. The student C might say, oh, it looks like a couple of subway lines with a bridge at the top, right? And hopefully, going through this process of describing, students would realize, oh, A and B, they are from the same photo, but B is the odd one out. Okay, so there is an example. So now we're going to try and do this together. Very complicated. So please pay attention. So what you need to do, first of all, is choose a number from 1 to 4. So all I want you to do, first of all, is type a number in the chat, 1, 2, 3, or 4. Great. All right. Lots of people choosing a number, and I think we have all the numbers. Yes, we do now. All right, that's great. Then take a screenshot of your photo. So everyone's going to have their photo. Take a screenshot of your own one. And please, please, please close your eyes. Don't look at the other ones. I'll show you the answers later, right? But when the other photos are up, close your eyes. Okay. Then you need to describe your photo. All right. And type your description in the chat. But very important, include the number. So make sure that you say number 3 is, for example, number 3, and then your description, or number 1, and then your description. So remember, include your number with your description. And then the last thing, you need to read the other descriptions and guess which is the odd one out. So at the end, all you need to do is type odd one out 1 or odd one out 3, whatever it is. Okay, so let's do this together. So everyone, close your eyes or look away from the screen. I hope you can remember your number. And if you are a number 1, open your eyes. Number 1, that is your picture. So please take a screenshot of that. Okay. Take a screenshot there. Okay. Okay, number 1s, close your eyes or look away. And if you're a number 2, please open your eyes. Number 2, that is your picture. Take a photo of that. All right. All right, number 2s, close your eyes. And if you're number 3, open your eyes. Take a picture of this. Okay, hopefully you got that. All right, number 3s, close your eyes. And if you're a number 4, open your eyes. Number 4, that is for you. Take a screenshot of that. All right, there we go. So what I want you to do now is just type your description in the chat. Okay, and remember, include your number when you write your description. Okay, so tell us your number and describe what you could see in your photo. All right, we already have some answers. So number 1, we've got a player in a blue shirt. What else have we got here? We've got number 4 is a coffee and some pastry. Okay, apparently, yeah, number 4, it's a plate with 2 pastries or 2 pancakes and a cup of coffee on a table. So Grace says number 1 is a bar showing a game. There's also a player. I think it's maybe playing football in that game. Let's see, what else have we got? Number 2 is a fancy table with a leg. Okay, you can see part of the table and a cat on the table. All right, number 1, back to the photo of the thing. It's an Asian man wearing a blue top. That's on the TV. That's the sports. Okay, let's see. Number 3, we've got a man taking a photo of some flowers, apparently, on number 3. Okay, number 3, a man on a chair with his phone. Yeah, man on the phone, brown jacket, taking a picture. Yeah, okay. Okay, so let me just first of all show you the answer. I'm sure you're all dying to know. So the odd one out was actually number 4. So number 1, that was the TV in the bar. Number 2 was a cat watching the TV. Number 3 was the man watching the cat watching the TV. And number 4 was just something I made for breakfast a while ago. Now, I should say here, uh, it was obviously very difficult for you guys to do that. If you were actually describing it by speaking, I think you'd find it a lot easier. Obviously, you didn't say or didn't write a huge amount there, right? But if you were doing this in class, students would be able to say a lot more, perhaps, than you had there. But for this one, I think the key point is not that students get the right answer. Really, the key point for this, I think, is that students had a puzzle, they worked together to try and solve it, and they used lots of descriptive language to do so. All right. So again, different levels. I would make make the photos maybe more different to make it easier. Again, a nice one for mixed ability groups because stronger students can maybe take more of a lead in asking people different things. All right, so I am going to stop talking now and or I'm going to keep talking, but I'll summarize. And then if you've got any questions, let's take a look at the Q&A. So those were the 5 activities that we did today. We had spot the difference. Remember that at the beginning, we had the photos of the 2 ladies on the train. We had picture puzzle exchange. That was the 6 photos of the hotel, and we had to match the numbers and the letters. We had deceptive description, where you had to describe part of a photo and other people had to guess if you were telling the truth or if you were lying about it. We had word whiz, where you had to look at a picture, think about what everyone else would use to describe it, and then pick 5 words. And lastly was that one odd one out, where you had to describe part of a photo, listen to what other people said, and then guess which one didn't match. Okay, so I'm not going to do that, but I'm just going to flip over to the thank you page and ask you all, well, I'm sure Simon, feel free to, you're unmuted. Were there any questions, Simon, that you wanted to?
There certainly were, but first I should start by thanking you. We can see lots of comments already in the chat box and throughout this. Lots of people enjoying these activities, and thank you for sharing them. I think there's lots that we can go back with to our own staff rooms and classrooms to play around with and experiment with. But some really nice and interesting questions here as well. I think what's coming out here is a lot of people are talking about the rich language that comes from these. Like you said, very interesting to say that the photographs can be for all levels, but what you're getting is a huge amount of emergent language. And for anyone interested in how to utilize emergent language, again, if you go back to the Trinity transformative teachers webinars to January, you'll see Leandra Meddings talking about that. So it's really nice to see these 2 ideas connecting, this emergent language and what you're saying.
Can I just add something? Sorry, Simon, because you reminded me of something that in last year, I taught a lot of business English classes, and the company I was doing these for split the students into 2 groups, like a low-level group and a high-level group. And the high-level group had much higher level English. But interestingly, for some of these activities, the low-level group actually were more successful than the high-level group, which is not what you would expect. But I think it just goes to show that, yeah, with mixed abilities, people are able to use whatever language resources they have, and they can work in that way. Sorry for interrupting.
No, definitely. And that gives us our role as teachers to sort of upgrade the language or push them into the next level, maybe expanding vocabulary and giving them the language they need at the point of need, really, so it's more memorable. So these are all great ways of doing that. Actually, that connects. You were just talking about business there. We had 1 or 2 questions here. This is a tricky one to start off with, but do you think any of these ideas could be adapted to an EAP, an English as an for academic purposes? Is there any way of doing that, do you think?
Yeah, that is a very good question, and one that I have not thought about before. Off the top of my head, I think a lot of this is about language for interacting with people and asking questions. So the way that I've used these, I mean, you said with business earlier, was not necessarily doing something that was super relevant to the students and their context, but it was just doing this as a warmer at the beginning of class and seeing what language came out of it. And I found it was you often got language for questions would come out, or yeah, things that were actually students would be able to use in other contexts. So I would say for this that perhaps the content doesn't need to, in my experience anyway, doesn't need to be super relevant to the students, but perhaps the language that comes out will be.
Yes, and I suppose even the photographs in a sort of semi-academic background, right? So you've got photographs of things happening in the library or around the campus or halls of residence, something like that. It's all relative to their life as students, not necessarily the subject that they're teaching. But that's part of our job as well, to connect the English that they're using, whether they're in an EMI setting, English medium instruction setting, or maybe in an English language speaking setting. So I guess there are lots of things you can do there. And that sort of connects to one of the first questions we have, where we've got that really nice spot the difference kind of thing, and then you have the hotel rooms as well. And it almost answered the question that came up, the real life application of these, because they're fun, they're interactive, they're engaging, they're kind of gamification of the language. But actually, that one with the hotel rooms, I was thinking, I think I use that kind of language with my partner all the time. When we're looking at hotels, should we stay here or should we stay there? That's a bit smaller, it's a bit bigger. So it really does. I mean, you could ask the student how it applies to real life, I suppose, right?
Yes, something else I like with those ones is there's a lot of paraphrasing that happens. For example, that wooden thing that comes out of the wall in one of the hotels. I don't know how to say that, but I think it's a nice way also of uh, eliciting some vague language. And I feel vague language is something that's often missing from course books. And yeah, you might get it's a thing or a device or whatever it is. Yeah. So yeah, but I guess we all stay in hotel rooms, don't, well, at least I do for work. But yeah, obviously you can pick things that are relevant to your students. Yeah.
Yes, and I think that actually brings us a nice comment here by a couple of people that work in more of an ESOL setting here, working maybe in the UK or somewhere else with refugees or immigrants of that type, and saying that again, some of these are nice warmers and activities like you're saying, but then one of the next stages could be to personalize them and talk about, it's a way of introducing culture if they're in the target place, if they've come to the UK, for example, where I happen to be based, sort of exploring photographs of things they might see out and about and what it means and what it means to us in this context. So it's a really nice way of bringing the real world into the classroom in a safe environment, questioning what does that actually do? How does this work? How is it different perhaps from where you're from? There's a lot going on there.
Yes, something as a little extension from that one I sometimes do is say, can you guess which of these hotels was the most expensive? Or can you guess which of these was from a different country than from all the others? And then there's a little bit more going on there than yeah, just describing some hotel rooms where we're yeah, talking about how that might vary in different places.
Absolutely. And I guess sort of what you've shown us here and how we can use pictures that and I like the fact, of course, you brought in some AI, but it doesn't have to be AI. We can create things I was going to say the old fashioned way. I don't know if mobile phones are quite old fashioned, but taking real photographs, if you like, of things. But also the idea that we could do this in a low tech way as well. We don't all have interactive whiteboards. There's lots that we can do if we're teaching online. We don't all have interactive whiteboards, but lots of our students have mobile phones that they can share, for example. Some schools have iPads, and you could bring in real photographs as well. I mean, go very old school and have sort of cutouts from magazines and stuff. I mean, would this work with that?
Yeah, I actually think sometimes if you have like bad black and white photos is almost actually better for this than very high definition things. Because sometimes when I've done these activities and they have not worked, is when students will find a shortcut by just saying, pink, green, blue, and oh yeah, okay, why finished. And we didn't actually describe anything. But in some ways, I think if you're using something that's more low tech and the photos are actually not very clear, that can actually mean students maybe end up doing a bit more negotiating of meaning. Oh, are you sure it's a such and such? I'm not sure it is that, right? I think it's maybe this. So I think yeah, sometimes low tech, bad photocopier can actually be good for eliciting more language.
Absolutely, yeah. And I guess, I mean, everyone that's attended this webinar today, we're all professionals and we're all experts in our own context. So obviously, the ideas that you've shared with us today, and lots of them, I think we can all come away thinking, well, that one might not work in our context, but that one could, or I need to adapt that one to make it work for us in terms of the choice of photograph, or how I'm going to go about it, the number of students I have, the level of the students, the age of the students sometimes as well. So that these are all things that we need to consider as we choose the photographs and then follow these great activities that you've shared with us today, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I guess even, if you took this to an extreme, you could get students to bring in their own or create their own and do those in groups. So that does take a bit of work, but yeah, absolutely. And I think part of the reason that I end up doing this with photos from places that I go to is because I live in the same country as my students. So I know that these photos are going to be, excuse me, things that will be relevant to my students. But obviously that means my photos might not be relevant to your students, but probably your photos will be. So I think there's something almost inherently, maybe not personalized, but certainly localized, I guess, about using your own images. And I think that's something that we don't often get from course books, because course books are for these global audiences, and yeah, they don't always make, what's in there doesn't always make sense. But if they are your own images, then they probably will.
Excellent. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, once again, just a big thank you for sharing those ideas. Lots of nice comments in the chat box. Thank you also to everyone that attended today. A reminder that you'll be receiving an email pretty soon from Trinity, us here at Trinity, that will have a link to this webinar as well. And you can see Ross put up his own things there. And I can highly recommend that podcast once again from the TEFL Training Institute. Yes, thank you all for joining us. A reminder that we do not have a Transformative Teachers webinar next month. That's the month of August, but we will be back in September. Okay, so once again, thank you very much, Ross, for taking the time out on your trip while you're here in the UK. And thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your mornings, afternoons, evenings, and nights. And I will hopefully, that's a thing. See you in September for the next Trinity College London Transformative Teachers webinar. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.